I couldn't get a date in a woman's prison with a handful of pardons. This morning's guest is going to help me out. Who is she? You'll meet her coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're at Johnny Rockets at Broadway at the Beach. We're focused on dating and relationships. We're visiting with the dating and relationship coach and author, Candace McKenzie. Good morning, Candace.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for, having us in to Johnny Rockets. We're going to have to add that in to the dating and relationship coach piece. So this place is amazing.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having us. We really appreciate it.
It is special. Of course, this isn't the only location here in the area.
No, we have one at Barefoot and one here at Broadway as well, too.
Right. Johnny Rockets is a pretty new thing, or it's been around a long time?
No, it started in 83. The first store is on Melrose in Los Angeles, California.
Right.
And then it just went like wildfire. They had more stores and they started a franchise. And actually my father came up with the idea. We flew out to Los Angeles, we walked into a store, and he just knew this was going to happen in Myrtle Beach. And at the time here at Broadway, they hadn't even done any construction. And he said, this is the place, Broadway the Beach, we're going to do a Johnny Rockets. And interestingly enough, I was the one who said, please, Dad, don't do this. I don't think it's going to work. It's going to be too much of a risk. It's a corporation. You're going to have to answer to somebody else.
Right.
He opened it and totally proved us wrong, and then decided, to break out and expand, and now we have one at Barefoot as well, too.
Tremendous. So Broadway first, Barefoot second.
Yes.
Both of them work hand in hand, and oftentimes I guess you probably share some staff. They go back and forth.
Absolutely. We have an amazing director of operations, Adam Thornton, who really kind of keeps it together. Originally, I came in, my father came in, my mother, my brother. We did, 24/7 working it, and then we got a wonderful staff, so we're very blessed. A lot of great, talented kids that work here.
Yeah, I can tell. And of course, it's 7 a.m., but still, it's nice that the folks let us, that you all let us in. It's really a treat.
For Carolina People, absolutely, of course.
Oh, good answer. Why do you think, Candace, your dad wasn't made up for Johnny Rockets, so that would be a tough thing for him?
My father is a very unique, creative, talented person, and he's his own man. And I think I was just a little concerned that, when you open up a franchise, you have to follow by rules and regulations of a corporation.
Sure.
My father makes his own rules sometimes. And that's good. It's a good thing. But it's just really just the relationship together, Johnny Rockets, they've been very good to us, and it's really just worked out well. It was a great decision on his part. So
that's tremendous.
Yeah.
That's tremendous. What were y'all doing out in L.A. back then? Is that, you've been out there a little while?
Yes, I've been out there for a while. Originally we were looking at some different ideas. I graduated from ECU, and I wanted to go into theater arts. I wanted to do modeling and acting. It was either New York or Los Angeles, and the weather was very appealing to LA, obviously, than New York.
Sure.
And I'm fond of the beach. I grew up by the ocean. As a kid, I swam in the ocean, and I saw California. I loved it. We had the connection with Johnny Rockets, and there I ended up staying. Not only with the Johnny Rockets, I have an event planning company. So we do children's birthday parties, special corporate events, conventions. I have actors that work for me, actually.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm. And then,
I saw some of them at your website at
magicalcelebrations.com.
A beautiful cadre of folks, and a lot of folks that work with you.
I have a great staff, very talented, beautiful actors and actresses, and then obviously because of what I do, dating and relationship coaching, LA is a great place to do that, obviously. It's the California Sex and the City market, I guess, just to say so.
Right. Now, has that opened the doors with some of the folks that work with you at Magical Celebrations to be able to learn about their relationships?
Oh, absolutely.
Possibly help counsel them a little bit?
Yeah, it's interesting. As soon as someone comes to work for me at Magical Celebrations, they find that I'm a dating coach. They're like, listen, this guy won't call me back. What do you think I should do? Or this person did this. So it's really interesting that, it's that they call me and want to give advice. And I learn, too, from my clients. From people that I teach class, they'll open up, they'll share their experiences. So for me, I learned something, too, as well. It's something I can write about in my blog or advice column or in my book or articles.
Of course, yeah. This is your first book, of course, Be a Dating Darling. I'm going to hold that up. We haven't yet gotten into that, and we will, but I'm not sure folks can see that but a tremendous shot there. Of course, this is your first, but one of many that are scheduled to come out.
Yes, I'm doing a series. The second book is called Be a Dating Dude.
Oh, yeah.
And it's for guys.
Aha.
Because even though the book was originally meant for women, interestingly enough, I have an amazing publicist. So I started to really break out and do national radio. A lot of people have heard me on Sirius Radio.
Sure.
Lectures at the Learning Annex, or just through newspapers. All of a sudden, I got a lot of men calling me.
Really?
And
for probably multiple reasons.
For multiple reasons, yes. But obviously, who better to get advice from than from a single female?
Oh, yeah.
And one who was a serial dater who really understands what it's like to be out in the market. So I thought, well, I'm going to write a book that's more appealing to men, that has more of a male tone to it. So I decided to Be a Dating Dude. And then Betty Moses, through the Myrtle Beach Herald, came to interview me. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And we had a wonderful idea to write a third book in the series called Senior and Sexy.
Ooh, yeah.
Because one can still be sexy and fabulous and wonderfully single at a certain age. I think age doesn't really matter. So I talked to Betty about possibly writing a book for older people, maybe people that have lost a spouse. Can you imagine being married, 30, 40, 50 years and losing your loved one and getting out of the market again? How scary could that possibly be? So it's just really, originally I just thought it was a life thing, a list that I wanted to write a book. I said, okay, I did it, and then here I am today. And now I'm considered a dating relationship coach. So.
I love it. Now, the book came out in the not too distant past. It's just been out.
At the end of July, beginning of August.
Okay.
Yes.
So about 8-9 months now. And of course, you've had a heck of a lot of acclaim in a very short time. A lot of folks tracking you down.
Yeah. Well, I don't like to say acclaim, but I have a wonderful publicist, and so it's just things just sort of magically fell into my lap. So I'm very blessed and very thankful for that. So
is it tough trying to get in the head of a guy to be able to write to Be a Dating Dude? I mean, that's
no.
Oh, too easy, maybe.
It's not that it's so easy. I will say that guys like to be more anonymous. Girls, will talk about anything and everything, where guys definitely like to be hush-hush about it. They like to change their names, or they like to say, this happened to a friend of mine kind of situation.
Right, sure.
But I really have had men who've really opened up and just expressed, all just an array of their problems. So I will not have a problem whatsoever writing the second book. I'm actually looking forward to it because it's going to be a lot of fun.
Right. Yeah, what are some of those common problems that guys, of course, we want to highlight some of the issues for women, but what are some of the strings that really jump out that are most common in the guys? And this isn't just guys in L.A.
No,
We've got guys all over. Yeah.
What happens in each city that I travel to when I do publicity for the book, every city says, it's so hard to date here. And let me tell you, everybody here in Myrtle Beach, it's so hard to date here in Myrtle Beach.
Yeah.
It's hard in Los Angeles, it's hard in New York, it's hard in D.C., it's hard everywhere. It's what you make of it. And that's what people need to realize. For men, when we're talking, you asked the question, the biggest question that they say is, it's so hard to date here in Myrtle Beach. And every woman here is so flaky. They're so
flaky. Women are flaky?
Women are flaky.
Guys say that, of course.
No, guys never say that. Which that means is that they change their minds a lot. They can't make up their mind what they want.
Right.
Maybe they're completely different than they were like the first month that they began to date them.
Sure.
Really what that's about is the man did not take the time to ask specific questions before the relationship got serious. Those specific questions are, which I like to call
them. These
do.
Right.
They're called the 6 dating darling questions, is what I like to call them. What are your age deal breakers? Is that person close to your age? Religious deal breakers. Is religion an important part of your life? If you are a devout Catholic and that person is an Orthodox Jew, is it going to work out? And especially if children get in the mix. Really think about that. Location.
And you say the piece about children getting in the mix, in what way? You mean if you
start having children.
Wants to raise a child, one of the partners wants to raise a child.
Yes.
Right.
What happens is that people don't think about religious beliefs, if they get married, but then once children, then you start thinking, how do you want to raise the children? Well, I'm a Catholic and you're Jewish, so somehow, somewhere you've got to find some middle ground. So think about that before. Location is an important question you want to think about.
Yeah.
It's really not a good idea to do long distance dating if you're looking for something serious. It just isn't. There's sacrifices in the mix. It's not the best recipe for a successful relationship. I like to call them guns, geographically undesirable men. definitely stay away from those faraway females. Foss is what I call in the book. So, Foss.
Ooh, wow.
Yes, and again, that's only if you're looking for a serious relationship. Definitely long distance is not good to go. Divorce. Make sure that person's divorced and not separated. This is a tough thing to tell people. Separation, especially here in North Carolina, South Carolina, I think it takes about a year for the divorce to go through. That seems to be a long time for a lot of people to wait. But I'm sorry. You need to lick your wounds. You need to do personal homework. You need to be by yourself and figure out what went wrong in the relationship before you get out there again. And as a single person, you should never go out with somebody who is separated and not divorced. Why? It's an emotional frying pan. Not only are you dealing with the litigations and all the stuff that's going divorce, you're dealing with the ex and possibly custody of children. It's just not a smart idea. Wait to go out with someone who is absolutely positively divorced. If somebody has a ready-made family, think about that too. Maybe somebody already has a child or children. Are you okay to embrace that? Also, another important question is kids. Do you want kids? Do you not want kids? Don't talk about that after you get into a relationship. So again, just to wrap all that up, think about all those questions and ask those questions in a first or second date.
Really?
Make sure,
First or second date? Wow.
If you're looking for
some serious heady stuff there in early dating.
It can be,
Right.
but why waste your time? Wouldn't you rather be done with it and know that this person's the right person or not right person for you and move on to somebody else? You can tactfully do it too. You don't have to just walk up to someone and go, oh, by the way, how old are you? Do you want kids? Do you want kids in a relationship? You have a glass of wine.
Right.
So, Greg,
Nice.
would you like to have any kids?
Wow.
Or, just you make it kind of fun and light and fun,
Yeah.
So, Greg, what are your religious beliefs? You just shake it off. Just something fun and easy breezy. And, that's really what it's about. Dating is meant to be fun. It's not meant to be rocket science. But at the same time, too, you need to be very specific. Again, if you're looking for something serious, that's when people come to me. If you're looking for something serious, then it's like any big investment in your life, buying a car or buying a piece of property. You're going to shop around and you're going to make some notes and you're going to be very specific about what you want.
Very good points, absolutely. And I think I saw, maybe it was in your book or it may have been in the interview that Betty had done with you when she was doing the book review on Be a Dating Darling. She had, there was an instance in there where you talked about potentially doing up to 3 dates in one day. In the morning, maybe. I can't even remember how it was. And I was trying to think how you would intersperse any of those 6 questions over the course of those 3 days. I mean, how you get those in if you're jumping from date to date. Now, I know that's a rare example, and obviously, or maybe it's not. Maybe it's not in L.A. It might not even be in Myrtle Beach. Is it rare?
Well, basically what you're talking about is what I like to call speed dating.
Speed dating,
yes. Now, I'm going to be very specific. I'm not a fan of speed dating clubs.
Right.
Speed dating clubs because you don't know really what you're going to get at that event. You don't know what the people look like. You don't have profiles. But I do agree that if you're looking for something serious and you want to see a lot of different people, you can speed date through the day, which is up to 3 days.
Yeah.
And by that, I mean very specifically cup of coffee, glass of wine, Jamba Juice only. You only want to do Monday through Thursday for a cup of coffee or a glass of wine only. Why? Because if you go for a weekend long dinner date and you've never met this person or nothing about them, God forbid if there's no chemistry or the person is a weirdo or loser, you're sticking a fork underneath the table and praying to God to, for the dessert to hurry up.
Right.
So again, talking about the speed dating, you can take somebody in the morning for a Starbucks. Quickly just see if there's chemistry, if there's a little connection. You can maybe ask 2 or 3 questions. Then the second date, get the rest of the 3 questions asked. The more toughy questions, the religious questions, the hit questions. The second date for speed dating, you can do a Jamba Juice or a juice club or, just maybe meet for a croissant or something like that. Make it really easy breezy. The third date, glass of wine someplace. I love Collectors, Liberty, City Bar's great. So that's what I talk about speed dating.
That's good. So you're able to find a way to get those questions out even on the speed dating side.
Yeah, because again, I'm trying to tell people it's a numbers game.
Right.
It's really
break that down. It's a numbers game. Meaning.
Yeah, people. What happens is they meet somebody and they think, oh, this could be the one. This is it. And people need to realize lust really gets in the way.
Does lust happen to both men and women?
Of course it does.
Come on, really?
Hello.
Not just guys.
Not just guys. It happens to girls. Of course, your hormones.
Yeah, right.
And women, we are a little bit more. We have have an opportunity for, not only physically to look at a guy, but I think also inside if he's attractive, inside if he's funny, dry sense of humor,
like that,
maybe a good dancer.
Oh, wow.
Maybe a John Travolta, look-alike kind of a guy.
Where they are. They're probably out there. Donald, help out now. Come on. Yeah, they're probably out there.
Not only just the exterior, but the interior too. And then all of a sudden, your hormones kind of take over, and you kind of forget about, thinking about those specific questions. So that's what happens when you go, oh no, this is the one. I'm not going to date anybody else because I don't want to date anybody else. I'm just really happy with that person. What happens then, 3-6 months down the road, God forbid, oh no, this person has a rap sheet, or they're a psycho, like men like to say fatal attraction.
Oh, yeah.
And you've missed all these other wonderful opportunities. So it's good to remember that it's a numbers game. That you want to see a lot of different people. You want to, you definitely, so if something doesn't work out with one person, you have that other opportunity to go out again with that other man or woman again.
Sure. Those are great points, Candace. How exciting to think about. Of course, something as difficult as actually putting together a book, getting pen to paper, and really following it through. That was a pretty big deal.
Especially for me, because I have the world's worst ADD in the world.
Oh, really?
So I'd like to say that I'm medicated, yeah. Don't need a lot of coffee in my diet. Basically, when I came up with this book, I definitely had the most wonderful help of an amazing editor. There was just no way. I basically just spurted out everything. I got my friends together just to kind of have little dating singles parties.
Sure.
Wrote down a lot of different ideas, my experiences, and then I got a wonderful editor and a graphic designer and a photographer to kind of help me piece it together.
Yeah.
And originally, I didn't come up with a book to be known so much as a writer. I really used the book as a vehicle to open doors as a dating relationship expert. So I could lecture and do radio and television, and that's what my hopes and dreams are, to be a host for that.
And that's really what it's all about.
It's really what it's all about. And it's just a talent that's just sort of just fallen into my lap over the past several years. It wasn't something I dreamed about as a little girl to do. It just sort of happened.
Are there other, when we think about, are there some big names in relating and dating and dating and relationship coach arena? Some of the names we may have heard of, is that as simple as
Dr. Phil is a huge one, obviously. He's got a wonderful new book that's out now. Many of them obviously have just spurred off from the Oprah Winfrey Show. She is definitely the person to get on her show first, and then automatically, boom, it's like wildfire. It happened for you.
Really? Wow.
Greg Bernhardt, he is formerly a Sex and the City writer. He wrote a book called, and I don't know if you've heard of this, He's Just Not That Into You. And it was for women. And basically the book is about, if he doesn't call you, he's just not that into you. If he doesn't compliment you, he's just not that into you. If he answers the cell phone during the first date, he's just not that into you. And it just became like a catchy little phrase. Well, now he's got his own show called The Greg Show, and he really talks about not only just dating, but about marriage and relationships. What makes me different than these other people, not that they're not wonderful and fabulous, is that I am still single. They're married and have been married for umpteen years. Some people prefer to come to me because I am still in the market.
Sure.
I do understand what it's about. And yes, and I do go out. I do sometimes use data as research. Of course, people's names are... People's names are... No.
What a nightmare.
It's not just me. They'll open up, not just about the date that's happening. They'll open up about, a past date that they've had. Well, of course I'm going to write about it. Of course I change people's names and locations and things of that sort, but if it will help other people, of course I'll write about it.
And so, for instance, you'd often answer these questions on dates as well as, do you make an effort to you don't get these things out like in public? You wouldn't go on talk about religion deal breakers or location. That's something you would do on your own in a date? Right, sure. Of
course, I wrote the book. I have to follow my own advice.
That's right, exactly. Yes, you have to follow that closely. You can't get all these questions out today, is what I was thinking about.
But I will tell you also too. My friends affectionately know this too. It's hard sometimes. I'm human like everybody else. I see a cute boy and I want to break my own rules, and I have to go. No, I can't. I wrote the book. I have to follow my own advice. Darn. So, but I'm human like everybody else. I've made terrible mistakes, and I continue to make mistakes in the dating world. But that's what it's all about. It's about getting up, brushing yourself off, and knowing that each person that you meet, each date that you go on is a good reason you're getting yourself ready for that right person.
How do I go about, because oftentimes it is so difficult for folks who are getting out of the dating scene to desensitize themselves from being beaten up or being worried about getting rejection, that harsh aspect of getting rejection. How do you encourage folks, whether male or female, to kind of take it easy, or do you?
Absolutely. You've ever heard the saying before, it's not personal, it's just business?
I have.
Yes, a lot of people have. I like to say it's not personal to you, it's the business of the universe to get you ready for that right person. So if that person doesn't call back, that person does not accept a date from you, you never hear from that person again, if they say something mean to you, guess what? It's nothing about you. Too many people go, oh, what did I do wrong?
Right.
Or they become too desperate. Well, maybe I can make up, or I can get them to like me more. Maybe I'll call them more, or give them gifts. And it's just you're wasting your time and that person's time. Understand, it has nothing to do with you. There's a very good reason why you're not meant to be that person. That's why, again, it's a numbers game. You brush yourself off and you call up that next person and you go out. That's the advice that I give. And I think what happens is a person will go on a bad date and it trips them up. Then inside, they lose their confidence. And what I like to tell people, what you're feeling inside is exactly the type of person that you're going to attract. So if you're nervous and you're not confident, then you're not going to be attracting the right people. You're not going to be attracting people at all. Because confidence is everything. Now, there's a big difference between confidence and being a jerk or cocky or just not being a nice person. But there is something so sexy and attractive about somebody who's just happy in their own skin and doesn't really care what other people think about them to a certain degree and extent.
And that's important both for women as well as men, or for men as well as women.
And by that, I mean also for women have this myth and idea in their heads that they cannot ask a man out.
Ooh,
that
wow.
they can't.
They can?
Of course they can.
I gotta ask.
What year are we in? This is year 2007, right?
I think.
Yes. So there's absolutely nothing wrong for a confident woman and a lovely, nice woman who has class to walk right up to a man and say, I had a wonderful time. I would love to ask you out for a cup of coffee or a glass of wine sometime.
Right.
Here's my car. What's wrong with that? Wouldn't you find that attractive?
Yeah, of course I would. Absolutely. My mother might not, but I would.
Well, everybody, then if your mother might have a problem with that, and a lot of women do have a problem directly asking a man out, then you can also say, you can do something like this. Greg, I heard that you like sailing. You know what? I would love to go out with you sailing sometime if you ever ask me. Or maybe if you ask me, I might like to try sailing too. Hint, something of that sort.
Sure.
Because men are just as terrified, and please, come in and tell me if I'm wrong. You guys are just as terrified as we are of getting turned down.
Of course, guys are terrified.
And no offense, but sometimes you guys really miss the signals that we give, the twirling of the...
What are some?
Okay, signals are...
We just got a couple of minutes in part one. So,
well, some of the signals are hair, laughing, looking you in the... Like, we're just staring.
Eye contact means please ask me out.
But the stare is like, ding, ding, ding,
well,
ding.
Guys are thinking the wrong things there. They're thinking, let's get a room. I mean, they're thinking terrible things of that. So.
Well, we don't want to say that.
That's right, 6 months.
Yeah, but I don't think those are overtly. I mean, obviously there's a difference between doing the hair and staring at a guy to overtly hanging on a guy and overtly giving a guy your room key.
Oh, yeah.
That is what it is what it is.
I've got a pocket,
Mr. John
Johnny Rockets.
Yes. Oh,
We've just got a minute, Candace. We've got, of course, the exciting thing is you'll be back with us tomorrow, Thursday, the first day of March, to talk about Be a Dating Darling and some of these amazing magazines you've been highlighted in recently. But for a viewer who's been with us the last 25 minutes and wanted to learn more about you and may not be able to be with us tomorrow, what's a good place to learn more about Candace McKenzie?
Go to my website, www.thedatingdarling, which is DAHLING.com. Pretty much has all the information, my lecture dates, appearance dates, if you're interested in the book, Be a Dating Darling, you can go to Amazon.com. Most people feel most comfortable because they've shopped there before.
Sure.
It gives a free preview of the book. Authorhouse.com. Also, I have a MySpace account. It's just for advertising the book.
Good.
Mind
good.
you. Just make that very specific.
We're going to go there.
Yeah, MySpace.com/The Dating Darling.
Great. And that's a trademarked phrase there.
It's
the Dating
trademarked.
Darling.
Yes.
And of course, folks, I heard you talking earlier about magical celebrations, and
Yes.
you mentioned magical celebrations.
Go to magicalcelebrations with an S.com, magicalcelebrations.com.
Right.
Yes.
I love it. Candace, thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you so much.
Very definitely. Stay tuned to more Carolina People. Coming up next with Candace McKenzie. She said she got degrees in If You're a Loser, Come Date Me Now. But he's perfect on paper. Why can't this work? Those are great degrees. You wonder how someone becomes a dating or relationship expert, a coach, someone who actually goes out on the circuit to make a difference. Folks need these answers. They need to find a way to get out there, get back in the scene if they've been out of a relationship for a long time but are having trouble getting back out in the dating world. It's a big deal. They need to be able to turn to somebody. We've got the one. You can learn more by coming back tomorrow morning, 7 a.m., part 2 of Candace McKenzie, The Dating Darling.